some fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, oh, sit down, oh, sit down. Sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 down. With sympathy.
Evening, everyone. Evening, Kenny. Thanks for coming on, mate. And happy Halloween. I'm sure you'll be out trick-or-treating later, getting you a little...
Well, I won't be, actually. So I'm sure other members of the family are going out. I know, like, one's going to be working. The oldest is working. And I'm being told that, you know, my wife's having a date night with her second daughter, my second daughter, our second daughter. So I'll be on my own watching any sport that's on TV. So, you know, I won't be trick-or-treating. And I hope no one locks the door because I'm too tired to answer it.
I'll tell you what, mate, you want to see the state of the front of my house with what the wife's
I can imagine it. I can imagine it. I know it's like families, yes. Everyone goes to the family member of the biggest house and the more kid-friendly area. We all do that.
Yeah, I mean, we've got one of these holographic projector things up right in the front of the house.
Yeah.
Bloody madness,
nice,
man.
It's nice.
It is just crazy, but there we go. The kids love it. I've got the grandson here, so he's mad up for it. Anyway, Kenny, yeah, bit of disturbing news today. Looks like possibly Partey's off in January. Something I saw today.
I haven't noticed it, so that's something I haven't taken notice of it. But you know, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It just wouldn't surprise me. You know, the fact is that he's clearly been our best player for a long, long time, and when fully fit, there isn't a better midfielder at the club, and there's certainly very few midfielders on his level in the country. You know, you probably put Rodri up there with him, but you know. There's a lot of Arsenal fans who have been, what I could say, very, how to say it, they haven't been loyal to Thomas. They call him a liability. You know, they call injured players a liability. I wonder what they were, if social media was prevalent a few years back, what they've been saying about Van Persie, who had a bad injury record as well. You know, the fact is that if they think that Declan Rice is the finished article, then they're going to be disappointed because Declan Rice has had a fantastic start to the season, but it's only, was it 9 games so far? And, you know, there's got to be a situation of a trough because, you know, at the moment, you know, he's taken the responsibility. He's played off it generally. He's still learning the way we play. But there's going to be a situation where, you know, we've got to see how does he cope with playing 2 games in a week, especially 2 Champions League games in a week. You know, I know he played a lot of those games for West Ham, but I would like to think we're at a high level. So, you know, by saying, oh yeah, good riddance to Partey or get rid of him in January, you're still going to need to replace him with a top class midfielder because, you know, there has to be alternatives to the midfield we have at the moment, which involves Jorginho, Bryce and Odegaard. You have to have, you know, someone who's top class as Partey and someone who's on a level of Declan Rice.
Absolutely. I mean, I find it quite disturbing, to be honest. I like Partey. I know, you know, he has injury issues, but so does Jesus. You know, Jesus doesn't get the grief that he's getting. You know, we did this with Pepe.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, that was all about...
You know, our fans have got a new toy. They've got a new toy, which is Declan Rice.
Exactly.
You know? And now they've got a new toy. This new toy is actually looks good as new. You know, like I said, it's, let's just say, like the battery life seems everlasting because it's new. So of course they're going to like say, well, he's an upgrade and Partey. I mean, I find that as an Arsenal fan, as a football fan, who's watching football for a good few years now, I consider that to be insulting. to someone who loves the game, to say that someone who's only been here 5 minutes is upgrades. You can't call Thomas White an upgrade. This is a guy that's played high level games for country and for Atletico Madrid, and he's played higher level of games than Declan Rice in Europe and some of our players. Just that, transition from for a lot of our cousins from abroad to playing in the English league is like, as I say, it's a massive transition. Not so much in quality, but in terms of style of play and the sort of like tempo.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that, mate. We'll have a quick recap of the Sheffield United game. You were there, you saw it firsthand. I mean, I'm not being funny, Kenny. They're a shocking team, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are. I think what it is that when you get over the euphoria of the match, you leave the stadium, you're still euphoric. You see an emoji from Eddie, you see a hat trick, you see a performance in the second half, and you're euphoric. Then when you look at the cold light of day, it was bad. Sheffield United are up there with one of the worst teams that we've seen in the Premiership for a while. They're a Championship team that that's playing the Premiership. They haven't upgraded whatsoever. I mean, what happened to the team that came up in 2019? The team with Chris Wilder, where he had a really good pattern of play, and he was like in discussion for a lot of top level jobs. What's happened there? Hanging bottom for me is a number 2. Sadly, Rian Brewster isn't hasn't made a transition from the junior football to the first 11 or first team in terms of like the Premiership or even the Championship. He struggles big time in terms of he looks a kid out there, and all their players just really are Championship level footballers. So you have to take it in context, and you have to praise Eddie because he got a hat trick, he got the 3 points, but the kind of the history of Eddie Nketiah in an Arsenal shirt does kind of point towards him being prolific in games against lesser opposition. And that's not me putting Eddie down, because Eddie had a fantastic game. He scored great goals. But you look at the games, the performances he performed in the League Cup over the years and the FA Cup to a certain extent, where he looks really prolific against those sort of defences. But against, top teams or even, run-of-the-mill Premiership sides, we're still waiting for Eddie to come good, or we've come to the conclusion that Eddie's just not at the right level. But saying that, got to praise the hat trick. You also got to praise loads of the players. I still think, 3 days in from the match, a couple of players dropped the ball. Kai Havertz dropped the ball, but he's going to get away with it because he's been bought. I think Smith Rowe dropped the ball as well, because Smith Rowe is a rhythm player, but there's no time for him. He has to take his chances as they come.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. I'm actually wondering whether Sheffield United will beat Derby County's shocking record in the Premier League. I mean, they were terrible when they were there. Or
Swindon. Yeah. I do think that with Sheffield, it's one of those situations where, you're probably going to have to sack Wilder. But the thing is, not sack Higginbottom, but if you sack him and get anyone else in, they are working with Championship players.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. Even their home form, you think, when you come up from the Premiership, you have to make your home form of your home ground a bit of a fortress and get majority of your points from your home games, as Forest did last season. Not the Forest last season made the City ground a fortress, made it very intimidating. The crowd was on top of you. They sang Mulla Kintyre before kickoff. A lot of teams think, "No, I don't want this." They didn't want it, and it hasn't changed this season with Nottingham Forest. They are going to be a very difficult team to play against. So they are going to get a lot of their points from the City ground. Sheffield United, as you can see, lost 8-0 at Bramall Lane and Newcastle's, and they've lost, as far as I know, the only point they've got that I can remember was a point against Everton. But I haven't followed the results. But a lot of the games that have been live, they've lost, apart from Everton.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, they're in deep trouble, man. I was on with Tony Claude Gunner and the long-haired Yeti last night, and we were talking about this with Dow as well. And we were talking about the fact of what is actually going on at Sheffield United. It's actually such a shame with the history of the club. I mean, I call them the blunt blades at the moment because they are blunt. They've got nothing.
Well, I totally agree with you, but you have to look at their rivals in across across the Hamilton Road in Sheffield Wednesday. They're struggling just as much in the Championship. They look like a League One side in the Championship, and they only got their first win on Sunday in a local derby against Rotherham. They again have been struggling, so it's not really good for football in Sheffield at the moment.
No, not at all. Such a shame. Such a big city with such history of football. Ding Dong says, "Be up, Jez and Kenny again. Hope you're well, Eddie for Ballon d'Or. Never in a lifetime, mate. That ain't going to happen. That's for sure."
You have to watch them. On 10 o'clock on Sky, they have their daily football program. And one of the guys on there says that if Eddie keeps up his good work, he could be on the plane to Germany for Euro 2024. So, that's what a lot of people are saying. But the thing is, if you score a hat trick in the Premiership and a league game, it is going to be like big news, and it does give you confidence, and it does give you, with Jesus out, it's going to give Eddie a run in the side. You wouldn't see much experimentation with Havertz at false 9 and 9, or Trossard there until Eddie goes back to what we told him to do and being effective, which is something that we have to be prepared for because we've seen it before with Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Eddie at the. I gave him a 10 out of 10 in my player ratings. I thought he was, one of the best displays I've ever seen from him. In fairness, at this level, I mean, you were at Norwich City with Lee when you saw his debut. I didn't see that. But the fact is, he did what he did. He got a hat trick. I mean, it's very difficult to score a hat trick. And before we get into the West Ham game, we're going to keep this quite short tonight, guys, because it's Halloween. I've got the grandkids here, and I've got to do granddad stuff. But there you go. So I just want to quickly touch on the fact of: do you think Eddie could possibly kick on from this now? Do you think there's no confidence?
I'm not sure. Newcastle will be interesting because they defend very well. Then after Newcastle, he's got a massive game against Sevilla. And then after Sevilla, we've got Burnley in the league. Of course, Burnley have struggled as well. They're the opposite of Sheffield United. Well, they're similar to Sheffield United, where I think they've got championship players as well. But they're playing well too open, well too expensive. And they're not making themselves difficult to beat. They are trying to play the football the way that Company plays. Unfortunately, it's not going to keep him up. Unfortunately, because there are better teams in the Premiership than them. So it could be another opportunity for Eddie to fill his boots. And then after that, you got the international break. And then after the international break, we got Brentford. Then we got our home game against Lens. I think it's Lens, and then after that, it's Wolves again, who've improved significantly under O'Neill. Although they, under Lopetegui, they weren't too bad either. But they're a bit inconsistent. They have a shocking record against us of late. But it's not going to be a game where Eddie will be able to fill his boots as he would against probably Burnley and what he did against Sheffield United. So there's a few games for Eddie for him to look at, and for a run games. But then again, it depends on Eddie really. If Eddie scores, then he stays in the team. If Eddie doesn't score, or we have Eddie in the side and then we're compromised in terms of like our style of play, then he will be replaced. Arteta's very ruthless in that sort of way, but
that's a good point, actually. Thinking about this today, right? Eddie scored a hat trick. Yeah, it's the carrier bag cut, as I call it. Now we've seen in the past when a player performs exceptionally well, he gets dropped. Do you reckon he'll start tomorrow night? I mean, I think he will because
I do think he will because, you know, again, it's that run of games he's going to need. If someone scores a hat trick, then they need to, and they're in that kind of rhythm, they have to play the next game in terms of like that way they can keep that level. So when he does play against Newcastle, he's match fit in terms of like sharpness because he's got a continuity of games. And there have been games when Eddie, the League Cup is Eddie's competition in terms of all level. And, you know, it's still a massive, massive London derby. You know, West Ham are we've got nearly 6,000 fans going to the London Stadium, and West Ham have got a capacity of now, I think, I don't know, it's the same as us, if not more, 61,000. And they're going to pack it to rafters. You know, and they're going to be smarting as well because they lost their last 4 games. You know, last 4 games, I think. And one of them in Europe to Olympiacos, and they got beaten by Everton, got beaten by Aston Villa, piped them as well. I think I think there was another slight defeat because they started the season quite well until they went to Anfield and got beaten. But you know, they're no slouches. They went to Brighton and actually ruined them, took them to pieces. So there is a team there. And the players are not dissimilar to the ones they had last season. But, you know,
it's a cup game, man. You know,
it's a cup game. Their fans are going to be up for it, you know, and they still have quality personnel in the team.
Yeah.
We're not going to have it be easy. You know what I mean?
We'll get into it. I mean, I was going to ask you, mate, do you think Declan Rice will start tomorrow night against his own club, his old club, I mean?
Personally, I don't think he will. Because reason why I don't think he will, because, you know, it's a situation where, you know, he's played a lot of games, you know, a lot of games, you know, it's sentimentally you want him to play and you want him to, you know, get a good send off from both sets of fans. But, you know, there is an opportunity where you could play a midfield you could play Jorginho there. You could play Smith Rowe again, give him another chance. You could play Havertz there. But saying that, you're right. If Paqueta plays, you're going to need Declan Rice to read him and follow him around and sniff him out. You know what I mean? Because the only player apart from Declan Rice is going to sort of like give Paqueta special attention is going to be El Neni. And to be honest, it's, you know, morally, you know, you would give El Neni a chance over Declan because the reason is that El Neni could do with a game because El Neni clearly down the pecking order, but when he does play, he doesn't let us down. And this could be a go for El Neni.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't get the problem. I mean, El Neni is one of these players, you know, what you get what it says on the tin is what you get.
Yeah.
He complains, he just does his job. He doesn't rip up trees. He's not the best, but he does his job, and it's the same. And I don't see a problem with him starting tomorrow. And I'll ask you this, mate: Zinchenko or Tomiyasu to start tomorrow night? I personally would rather Tomiyasu start. I think he's just done his job this season. He just gets on. He does a lovely goal. Poacher's goal weekend, and I'm, you know, that's great. But let's take this game seriously. It is a cup game, and I know
it depends on the situation, though, don't it, Jez? Because I think if depends on the back four you have, and you know that Kivior's going to probably play, and you know that one of Saliba or so Kivior's playing, and Saliba will play for the right sided option. And then right back, Benjamin White did play against Brentford. So it's either between. So if Benjamin White plays against Brentford, you've got an option of playing Tomiyasu at left back. Because obviously West Ham are very strong down that right hand side as well. And then the midfield kind of I suggested the midfield, and it's really the forwards really. You'll think that that Trossard and Reece Nelson were playing, Eddie up top. That would be a more acceptable team. But yeah, Macy has made Tomori's made a good point about Kudos, who does play in that, who can play on that inverted right hand side. So again, who would you want against Kudos? Tomiyasu or Zinchenko?
Good point. Good point, mate. Good point. My only concern is on that. With Zinchenko play this inverted midfield game, he does at times, mate, leave us exposed.
Yeah, I think so.
That could be our downfall. We've got to take this game seriously. I mean, it is a cup game. We need silverware. I didn't agree with some comments I saw last night that the fact if we win this carrier bag cup, then that's okay. It's not okay. This manager has had way too long. He needs to win something big.
Well, definitely. And another thing as well. On like the fan cams on AFTV, I hear. Obviously we know what they said about the competition last year. Now, their narrative is rest players, and I think that's very disrespectful to the competition because, we haven't won anything for 4 years. No. I'm not going to count the Community Shield, and I don't think the players will count the Community Shield, and the manager wouldn't either. It's not a major trophy. We're still 4 years coming up to May without winning a trophy, so we have to win something, And you have one of the things that a lot of people, mention: Newcastle playing Man United.
Yeah,
one of them's got to go out. It's going to be decided tomorrow. It's hard. Some are going to say Newcastle win. Some are going to say Man United. But either way, an obstacle to us winning is out there. Obviously, Chelsea have got Blackburn. I expect Chelsea win, and then you've got Liverpool. If we don't really want to meet Liverpool because look what happened 2 years ago. We met in the semis and they beat us comfortably. Yeah. I think so. It's a good opportunity to win a trophy, and let's cut through the sort of conjecture. And cut through, get off that high horse. You look at the roll of honour for the, Carabao Cup. Name me a team outside of Big Six has run it in the last since 2004. Since Middlesbrough won it in 2004 and beat Bolton. Name me a team outside the Big Six who hasn't won it. Who's won it? I can only think of one: Swansea. Yes. That's the only one I can think of. Yeah. So if you talk about 20 years, the majority of teams who've won the Carabao Cup, League Cup, Worthington Cup, Rumbelows Cup, whatever you want to call it these days, it hasn't been a team outside the top six.
No. And the thing is, we know the big boys will take it. When it gets to the latter stages, they'll take it serious. Yeah. I mean, tomorrow night's going to be a tough game. You'll be there. And
yes.
Like you say, that West Ham crowd are going to be massive up for it. It's a cup game. They won the Europa League, fair play, respect. So they know what it's like to win silverware more recent times than we do. I agree. I mean, the Community Shield it's a shield. It's not the FA Cup. It's not the League Cup as was years ago. Great question. I was just going to come on to this. Great segue. Anthony Herbert says, do you think Ramsdale will be in goal for this game? I think he'll start, don't you?
100%. It's a no-brainer to playing Ramsdale this game because, again, Ramsdale is the number two, and the number twos do tend to play the cup competitions. And Ramsdale will play against Brentford. I thought he was nervous in terms of when it came to come out for set pieces. But he made the regulation saves he needed to. He did try to play at the back. But, it's a good game for him. It's a game where, we know Ramsdale is not going to sulk. We know he's hurt about not playing. But at the moment, he is behind Raya in goal, but it's a good opportunity for him. Whenever you get your chances, play well, because you don't know what could happen. Raya can get an injury, and then if you can get your place back, and you've got to be mentally sharp as well as physically sharp. So these games do you a lot of good. And if Mikel Arteta is thinking of making a change, or you're not happy about the situation, you're well within your right. He's well within his rights to use this as a shop window. So right, January, here we go. I need first team football. My international manager, Gareth Southgate, has told me that he can't consider me for Germany in the summer if I don't play regular games in the Premiership. So I've got to go. I don't care whether Mikel, you need me for the Champions League or the extent of injury, and you want a full squad. Sorry, that's my career. I'm going. So it's he should use the most recent outing to get him in the team, because the next game I can think of Ramsdale getting is probably the next Carabao Cup game and an FA Cup game, or if we've already made a group stages, won the group, and when the last game is away against PSV, and whether we win or lose or draw won't make an effort. That's probably when Ramsdale might get another game. So he's got to use this for himself and say, look, it's all about being on that plane in Germany, because we know that the two goalkeepers are definitely going to go to Germany, are going to be Pickford and Pope. There's a vacancy for another goalkeeper. He's got to make sure that's his, because at the moment, Sam Johnston is getting regular football for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment from Anthony. I remember this one. Last time I went, man.
Let's not talk about that. I completely forgot that, Anthony.
Yeah. That was an absolutely shocking shit show, that game. Seriously, Arsene Wenger that got that so wrong. So wrong. But
you know what, Jez? He actually took the competition seriously that season. He determined to win the competition, because there were some games where he played a full quota of first team players. I remember, do you remember the North London derby that season where he beat them 4-1 after extra time, when he got a couple of penalties? Yeah,
but I mean, he had a team that was going to that final, Kenny, right? He had a certain player who was begging him to play, and he didn't play him. I forgot his name. I didn't right. It's gone now. God. Oh.
Well, there was two players we thought weren't going to play. Two players, but they weren't going to play because it's Wembley. Two players. We didn't think Robin van Persie would start that game. We didn't think Fabregas would start, because remember they had a game in Europe before then.
But there's also oh God, what's his name? Jesus. We bought him from Southampton, young kid. What's his name? Come on.
Oh, you mean Oxlade?
No,
he went with us then. Theo Walcott.
He was begging him to play. He was begging bloody Wenger to play him, and he didn't play him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Theo was really good. He's much luck with Wembley Files, because remember the time when we finally won the FA Cup in 2014. His child was ill. Yeah, so he was in hospital with his child during that FA Cup final. But yeah, you're right. It's something you want to forget, because Birmingham went 1-0 up, which was a shock in itself, and then we got equalised for half time. But there was all my memories of the game wasn't so much the winner. It was what happened. It was the actual when the winner got announced. Because you remember Roger Johnson, their captain, he had severe cramp, and he could hardly walk. The minute the final whistle went, that cramp went, and he went and celebrated with his team. And that's an abiding memory of what happened. Was the fact that the goal went in, and there was a big groan, and everyone didn't know where to walk out or stay, and it was awful. I thought myself, stuff it. I'm sticking around to see him get the medals. I didn't stick around to see him get the thing, because I was thinking, you know what, I'm my own man, because I'm one of those people that when you go football, one of the things I hate more than anything is when you go with people and they make your decision for you.
Mm.
They decide that we all got to leave because they don't want to stick around. You got to stick around. And I think that's why I'm very much my own man now when I go football. I do go with them, but I don't leave at the same time as them.
It's a great point. Right, we're 4-0 up, right? 10 minutes of extra time. Yeah, Saturday. People are walking out the ground, Kenny. 4-0 up, walking out the ground.
Yes, yeah.
What is going on?
It's always been a case at football. Even going back to the days when I was at Highbury, people do leave. I don't know why they do it. They say they leave because they don't want to get caught up in a crowd, or what happens, they don't want to miss the train or miss their bus or their trains at political time. And I'm thinking, why come to football? Why do that? But I've got friends who do that anyway. So it's easy. If you're chastising the member of the public, you're chastising a mate, because we know people do that, who do pop off before the end. I don't know why they do it, but they do it, especially at the Emirates. It's like that quite a lot. I don't like it. I especially do not like it when the team's losing. I hate people who do that. I didn't like watching the Man United game when their fans are leaving after the third goal winning, because at the end of the day, you're spoiling it for yourself and you spoil it for someone else. That person, one of those, out of those 5 people, one person might want to stay, but he's going because he may not get, he won't be able to get a lift home. But I always say to Saf, good luck to people, but when you've got people crying out for tickets, it's not a good look. But then again, there's people who are continuously late for football. They're just as annoying as those ones who leave early, because again, you're not getting there's no excuses for being late all the time. Once I get it, if there's train situations or some pork chop has come up to you and said, "Oh yeah, can you do something for me? I'll make sure you aren't late," and you are late. That's occasional, but not all the time. Don't like it, but that's the trouble with football fans. Once they get a ticket in their name, they can do as they please with their memberships.
I don't get it, man. I've never done it. I mean, it's always in my time. I'd be in that ground 45 minutes before kickoff.
Same.
45 minutes, man. And you can stand there, you can chat to people you haven't spoken to for a week or two, whatever, and have a bit of a banter and a chat and all that. I just don't get it. I mean,
you're preaching to the converted. I don't like that either, because the way I look at it is that I look at it this way. I don't particularly want to be I don't want to be paying for my full allocation, and then I'm going to have to leave because someone else who's part of my group wants to leave early. That's why nowadays, I know it's an awful thing to say, I'm more than happy to meet people at the ground and make my way home, because I always say, if you go to football and away from home and you're not making your own way there or your own way back, you're at the mercy of the driver.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you are at the mercy of the driver. But if you don't, if you're all going by train, you all know your trains at a certain time. That you just have to wait for you at the train station.
Exactly. I mean, that's how it always used to be with me. I mean, when we used to travel in our shitty old minibus, nobody had a choice, because it was a fact. If we all meet up and we all go to the game together, we'd all leave at the same time, and then we'd get back in the bus and come home, and that could be an hour after the game. The games, let's say back in the day, and a game used to finish at 5 o'clock, 5:30, whatever, when it was a 3 o'clock kickoff, as it used to be. You'd probably not leave till 6:30. So you might have a 3-hour drive back home from where, like Manchester or whatever. But that was the day out. It was a day out.
Exactly, and that's the thing. They're spoiling the day out for everyone else. Like you've got loads of away games. I mean, some of the grounds you mentioned, I think, geez, he's gone there. Some of the countries you've mentioned have gone there, and it's a great. I can only talk more recently the Chelsea game after the game. I didn't leave there. The game finished about 7:25. I didn't leave there till about 2 hours later. Obviously, I was waiting for Lee, but also I was having a laugh. I was having a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I had a really great time. But then again, you know, a lot of people I went to my group with when we lost 3-0 against Spurs, North London derby. I got to my seat in the second half, and then when I looked around again, I only saw there was a crowd of about 15 of us. I only saw two, with the exception of me. There was only 2 people left, and then the last 2 people left with the last 5 minutes. They all went home after Song scored in the 47th minute.
I remember once. I'll tell you, this is true. We were in the North Bank, right, and we'd lost to. This is years ago. This is about 82, something like that. We'd lost to Chelsea, right, and we were stood in the North Bank, and there was about 8 of us just having a chat, chewing, you know, like, oh, this is bollocks, this is rubbish, you know, this, that, and the other, and we actually got kicked out by the stewards because they said, "Look, guys, you've got to go. We're cleaning up, we're locking up. You've got to go." And we go, "Yeah, we're just chatting about the game." We got out onto the concourse. We're out on Gillespie Road, right? We're having a chat and everything. And then the police are saying, "Come on, guys, you've got to move on. You've got to move on." And we're like, "Well, we're just having a chat because we wanted to talk about the game."
I think, and Derek, you know what? You made a great point. Before social media, you know, like that's what fans did who went to the game. They had a discussion in the pub about the game, and they argued and argued and argued. No one filmed them; they just talked, or they'll phone each other and talk about it. And I think that's the situation. Is that but you know, that's the way it could be. I know for a fact, Brentford in the League Cup, I was the last fan out of the ground. I was with the stewards, and then I said, I suppose the last one here. He said, "You're one of them, aren't you?" Chelsea, I was the last one out of the ground as well, and I dare I say I'll probably be the same with West Ham as well. You know, win, lose, or draw, because I just I don't see the rush, but I do understand.
You've paid. You know, you're going away tomorrow night, right? You're going down to West Ham, right? You've got your season ticket, you've got your travel costs to get there, and from where you are, it's not an easy journey. How you get there, and the fact of the matter is, you're gonna have something to eat. You might have a cup of tea, whatever. The fact is, you're there, so you make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's part of the journey. That's part of the fun, isn't it?
It is. It is. And that's the thing. Going to football should always be fun. Always be fun. And the reason why I say always be fun, because you've got to remember one thing. You know, I do get the fact that, you know, it is a workplace there for a lot of people. But, you know, for me, and I can't speak for everyone, having access to watch us play has to be the ultimate. I still think that for every football fan, the dream, you know, like dream gig is going to watch a team in a major cup final where a cup can be presented to the team that you love. I still think that, I find that the biggest thing ever. I think it's bigger than, you know, getting on a gig on Sky TV, you know, in the press box. But I do get it. If you've given up your whole life, if you know, quit your job and you think, right, I'm going to give this a right go, then yeah, crack on. I get it. I do really get it. But for me, you know, the biggest disappointment would be if I couldn't afford to watch Arsenal play and I couldn't go to these games. That would be like the beginning, the end, because I feel, from a personal opinion, I still want to go and watch us play, especially at home game. And I feel if the game's on at Highbury, I think, well, I should be there. I still think that there's going to be a time when I'm going to be probably like yourself and Lee said, right, I'm done with this. But right now, I'll feel somehow that I'm not there, and that's why I do attend every game. It's a ticket.
I still miss I miss it every week. The
Yeah.
problem, the fact that I live 65 miles away. It's not, it's hassle getting there. It's expensive now, train and all that bullshit and everything. And then last thing I want to do, like the other night, if it's an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Emirates, I've got no option but to leave before the end of the game.
Yeah. In theory, yes, you have to. If you're
Victoria to get the train home, because the last train out is at 11:05.
Well, I know that there's trains. There potentially is trains coming from Finsbury Park. Because you know Finsbury Park, if you go on platform 2, that Finsbury Park is now adjoined to like the the Thames Link, and like on the Thames Link, yeah, Thames Link. You know, I think some of the trains go to Horsham. Well, I don't know. Is that where you live?
That'd be fine for me, because that's where
so if you do go to a night game, or you go to a game, just give it some consideration. Because I know that there are trains that Finsbury Park is aligned to the Thames Link now, and there are trains going to like Bromley, Gatwick, and there are trains going to Horsham. Because when I'm getting a train, because remember where I go to is just outside Crouch End. It's on the border of Crouch and Hornsey, so they do announce it especially when you come into Finsbury Park, especially if I come in for work and for footy. It does announce that the trains go to London St Pancras International, and it is part of the Thames Link. So you give that a go, but again, it depends on what time the trains are and whether you have to have a specific ticket for a specific train.
I don't know. I'll have a look at that, man. I'll have a look at that, because I didn't know that happened. So I will look into that. But then you got to try and get a ticket anyway for the game, which is a nightmare. But
blame people on social media who thought it was a good idea to represent themselves and moan and copy an Arsenal Football Club, i.e., at the club. Because what the club are going to do, they're going to assume that there's touting going on, and then what happens, they try and make it more difficult for honest fans. Because one of the things that happens in life, whoever you are, whether you're famous or infamous or just a number, which most of us are, you can't beat the internet. The internet's too powerful and too fast, and exposes you. You can't win. You can't stop it because the genie's out of the bottle. Unfortunately, football clubs and major organisations can't beat the touts. The touts are one step ahead. Always will be, and always do. But what you do is that you make their lives uncomfortable, and then when you get bored, their lives become comfortable again. And that's the thing.
That is true. You never beat them. You'll never, ever, ever, ever beat them. It's always been like that all the time I've ever been involved in football. Kenny, before we wrap this up, mate, because I've got to go trick or treating with the grandkids, like you do. I've got my Dracula mask and everything. Give me a match prediction for tomorrow night, mate.
I'm going to go for. I think it's going to go to penalties. I think it's going to be 1-1, and anyone can win on penalties. I think if we play to the best of our ability and defend well, we win this 2-1, and it won't be. It'll be like a comfortable 2-1. But if West Ham really at it and they take their chances, it could be a really great game of football. It could be a classic. Potentially, it could be a classic. I'm not ruling that out at all, because both teams, West Ham are going to be at it because it's us. Their fans won't tolerate rotations. But then again, one thing about it is that let's not forget they've played Monday, Sunday, Thursday, and now they're going to play Thursday, Sunday, and Wednesday. They may make changes as well. They're slight changes, so it could be a team. It could be a team of half reserves and half 13 players, and we just have to hope our half reserves, half funds players. But I do think that we'll come good and win 2-1. I'm going for 2-1.
Yeah, I predicted a 1-1 last night on Tony Claude's, and I said I'm predicting a 1-1, and it's going to go to penalties, and we'll win in the penalty shootout. But before we round it up, Megan,
Yes, you just made me laugh, Megan. She's a Man City fan. You know what? If Megan, if you had told me and Jess 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that you'll be the top dogs in Manchester, you'll be like the triple champions, like Man United were, I would have laughed at you, because Man United was, for me, still are the biggest club in the world, in the country.
Yeah, they are.
I've always thought that Man United's domination will stop, but the way you're just treating them like the little brother, annoying little brother, it's still a shock, even though it happens regularly for the last 10 years. It's still shocking, though.
It is shocking. We talked about this last night. I mean, outside of Tottenham, the team I hate the most outside of Tottenham is Man United, because we had many battles with them over the years, in the Wenger era, and even before that. Let's not forget that. But
you're too strong, innit?
Yeah. So we can't forget any of that. So I've got no sympathy for Man United at all whatsoever. It's a shame that the club they once were, they aren't, because they're in decline, and I don't know when they're ever going to come back up. Let's be honest. But
get new owners in with owners in. New owners and get Premiership players.
They have to, because at the end of the day, they are. I mean, I watched that Man City game and Man United, and they were rubbish.
Especially after, you know what, it was quite a good game of football to watch until Højlund had his his pork chop moment, where as soon as that penalty went in, that was it. The game was over. The game needed probably Man United to score first, and it would be a game, because Man United just panicked afterwards. They panicked in terms of their tactics. Can you imagine if they didn't give away that penalty? They would have just. It would have been an even game, but it was always a situation where Man United just don't know how to. They are so scared of playing expansion football with Man City, because they just know that when Man City get the ball, they just toyed with them. That was how embarrassing it was. It was like a City home game. It was like a City home game.
It was, yeah. I mean, I actually did double check myself at one point. I missed the first 5 minutes, and I actually double checked. I thought, is this actually? Oh, yeah, it is at Old Trafford. Yeah, it is Old Trafford.
You can only hear that. I could only hear their fans singing. I could only hear their fans.
No. But then again, I've been to Old Trafford many times, and the Man United fans have been as quiet as a bloody mouse at the end of the day. But anyway, going to wrap it up, guys. Kenny, mate, please shout out where we can find you on Insta.
You can find me at KennyKane1972. I'm going to be have all these videos and all these taking the mickey out of a lot of situations in sport, because that's what I do, and that's what I'm enjoying. I like to think that I'm thought provoking, but the situation in terms of like Man United, it's sad for English football, because them themselves in Liverpool have held the torch for English football, and I think the baton's now passed on to Man City, although Liverpool are going to push them as close as they can, because Man United are a big club, but then again, it's self-harming, and the worst thing about it is that the wound is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and sometimes you just have to reinvent yourself, put the old dog down and get a new dog.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the facts, mate. Mate, thank you for coming on. As always, it's always a quality chat with you. Thank you to everybody in the chat. If there's anybody watches this on playback, if you're new, please subscribe and smash the likes up. It does help the channel. And everybody, if you've got little kids or whatever, have a great Halloween, because I've got to go and do that now. And have fun. I'm going to be nicking the sweets of all the little kids. You know what I mean? I'll be going around nicking them.
Well, remember, Chess, send me over the refreshers sweets.
Yes.
You know, the one with sherbet in the middle. I love those sweets. Chewy ones. I love them.
It's all right, mate. Don't worry, mate. I'll go and mug the 5-year-olds. So I'll nick them all. Don't worry.
Good mate. Good mate. It's got to be done.
Right, everybody. I'm going to do the outro, and we're out of here. Have a good evening, everybody, and take care. Look forward to the games tomorrow night. Take care.